Merry Christmas, Noise. Considering 'tis the season, I thought I'd do a sermon about what I want for Christmas. I mean, why not? Maybe I'll write it on a scroll, perhaps even an Elder Scroll, and send it off to the North Pole. That could lead to a lot of complications, but I'm a god. I can use an Elder Scroll to write a letter to Santa. I mean, why not? That jolly old fetcher can deal with the timeline problems that might occur by vandalizing an Elder Scroll himself. I mean, what the fetch happens if you write on an Elder Scroll with a crayon? These kinds of questions keep me up at night. I don't think it would cause too many problems. At least I don't think it would. I mean, I made a games console out of a Coolican. Once you do that, anything goes. Am I right? Anyway, this year has been rough. I mean, it has been the best year in gaming since, I don't know, the end of the last era, but it's still been rough. There are still wrongs that need to righted with gaming, and let's get into it. I expect all my wishes to come true on Christmas morning, or I will be madder than Sheogorath if they don't come true. Angrier than that one inevitable kid on Christmas this year who will get that nightmare-inducing King Kong game on Christmas Day. R.I.P. to that kid. His interest in gaming will end that day. Let us begin. So first on the list is really any substantially positive and definitive news on the KOTOR remake. I mean, it takes a serious amount of effort and psychopathy to derail a remake like this. It's like Disney or Sony or fetching Applebee's or whoever the hell is making this game at this stage woke up one morning and decided that Star Wars fans needed to suffer a little more and spread some vague rumors about the KOTOR remake's cancellation. And then you get Jeff Scribb, or was it Grubb or Guar? I don't know, running with this story and just pretending it's legit, and then retracting his statement because he realized that he jumped to a conclusion faster than the internet, jumped to the conclusion that the Elder Scrolls 6 was in Hammerfell and High Rock after E3 2018. It's not either of those locations, be the dubs. We are going to Morrowind again, and more specifically Red Mountain in the Elder Scrolls 6. But yeah, can we get some good news on the KOTOR remake? That would be a nice Christmas miracle, like just a confirmation that it's still in development and coming out in a year or two. But no, instead we will get extreme whiplash over the next year between rumors that it's been cancelled and was actually fetching Star Wars hunters all along in some kind of dumb plot twist, or that it's been scrapped because Disney thought that KOTOR was too indie and was not similar enough to whatever game was popular during that week. Give us the remake Noise. I am done with Star Wars games being cursed beyond belief. Or better yet, give us KOTOR 3. But like Valve, Lucasfilm games can't count to 3 with their Star Wars games, so we won't be getting it ever. Moving on, my second wish in this series of demands is for Sony to finally reveal their next slate of games. Their silence at the Game Awards was beyond awkward. The deafening silence was worse than that one time Fargoth made a terrible and awkward joke about Dunmeri culture at the Seydaneen stand-up night. It's not enough that Sony are screwing up the progress on the KOTOR remake. They gotta keep silent on their future plans, for what feels like an eternity too. There's rumors of a new Uncharted game. Tell us about it instead of inserting Nathan Drake into the KOTOR remake to make it more cinematic. If you know, you know. Tell us about Ghost of Tsushima 2. Maybe it's Ghost of Okinawa, and Jin Sakai is just chilling on a beach for the whole game. I don't care, just confirm it exists. And give us an update on the Ghost of Tsushima movie while you're at it, and confirm that Uwe Boll's restraining order from all video game adaptions and their associated creators is still in effect. Announce a new Ratchet & Clank while you're at it too. Call it Ratchet & Clank, Rift a Cart, and make it a Mario Kart style game. That was a joke, but it could work. Just do something, Sony, because we're worried about you. You don't call and you don't write. You're like our estranged son, Sony, and that needs to change. So I kindly ask, fetching announce something you, single-player third-person action obsessed and was. That was a compliment, by the way. Moving on to my third item here, and that is a release date for Obsidian's next game. Yes, a release date. And no, the next game shouldn't be Grounded 2 or Pentiment 2. That's cheating. It should realistically be Avowed at this stage. I feel like this game came out in 2022, and we're just living in some kind of Dragon Break alternate timeline, or some SWIT, where this game feels like it's in development hell. Give us a May 2024 release date. Or fetching April or October, I don't know. Just tell us we are going to the Living Lands next year, at the very least. But maybe we get the Outer Worlds 2 instead. Some would argue that wouldn't be the best choice, but rather, Spacer's choice. What? I thought that was funny. Personally, I'm hyped to the moon mask about this game. That was a Spacer's choice pun. Oh, you know what I mean. There are rumors that it might beat Avowed to the punch and release in 2024. Maybe Avowed gets pushed to 2025, or 2026, or knowing modern gaming, 2042. The Outer Worlds 2 could appease Starfield haters for a few weeks, keep them distracted from the so-called fast travel the game they love to trash. Maybe it'll help to cool the YouTube algorithm's obsession with promoting negative Starfield videos. But I doubt it. Starfield hate on the internet is an inside job, I tell you, started by the lizard people, also known as Argonians, who are a part of the Marukati Selectives, also known as the Illuminati. I need to stop. I'm watching too many of Glathia's TikToks. I never got around to playing Starfield anyway, was ultimately too upset over the fact they didn't call it Moon and Starfield. What a wasted opportunity. It was right there, Todd, the false god, Howard. Anyway, back on point. All I ask for is for the Outer Worlds 2 to bring back that moon-masked guy from the Groundbreaker. He was hilarious and needs his own spin-off game, frankly. His mental breakdown over promoting Spacer's choice reminded me of my mental breakdown after realizing that the Elder Scrolls 6 would not release in my lifetime. I'm a god who is over 3,000 years old, for reference. Let that sink in. Moving on to my fourth item on this grown god's letter to Santa. Don't judge me, Noah. I'm simply a god writing to another god. This is not childish or embarrassing at all. I said don't judge me, Fetcher. I have the ash yams with a cup of warm salt rice milk, ready to go like every year, and I'm proud of my consistency. Anyway, the fourth item. The fourth item is the announcement of a second DLC pass for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, and for all 4 fighters to be announced for this theoretical second DLC pass as well. A lot to ask of Ludacity and Fairplay Labs by Christmas, but I am not a merciful god, and my standards are higher than Red Mountain. Yes, I'm aware a good chunk of gamers out there haven't even heard of this game, and maybe even Santa hasn't. But whatever, it's Smash Bros, but with Nicktoons characters. There you go. There's the elevator pitch and point of this game franchise. For the first DLC pass, we're getting Zuko, Uncle Iroh, Mr. Krabs, and a TMNT character that less than 1% of the population has ever heard of. It's obscurity within obscurity with this game. Obscureception? That's a new word to add to the dictionary next year. Anyway, as to who the fighters should be, I think it's obvious. Dora the Explorer, first of all. Her moveset is obvious. Boots, backpack, brutality. That sums up her potential move, set elegantly. The second fighter would be Spencer from iCarly, who would sculpt people to death and set them on fire. He'd be a mix of Bowser and, I don't know, Villager from Smash. It makes sense if you think about it and have a mind like Sakurai. The third fighter would be Pablo, the penguin from the Backyardigans. His moveset would be the usual penguin shenanigans mixed with, I mean, it's Pablo. Who cares about his moveset? He just needs to be in the game. The fourth and final fighter would be yours truly, the Sharmat himself, Dagoth Ur. Merriweather is not my actual middle name, I just added it for effect. There should only be one third-party character in this game, and it should be me. I've earned it, and who is ludosity to deny a god? Oh, and another sub-wish, if you will. Wish being fitting in this case, get Timmy Turner in the fetching game. I get Nelvana own the rights or some swit, but come on. How is that obscure teenage mutant ninja rhino making it into the game before Timmy himself? You Nuas need to sort this out. Oh, and another thing, no fetching Loud House characters from the Fetching Loud House in this game series. Ever a fetching gen? I boycotted the game as it is because of the insistence of bringing back one Loud House character in the form of fetching Lucy Vampire Weirdo. Wednesday Insufferable Adams wannabe Loud. We don't need more of these alliterative fetchers. At least Lincoln wasn't in the game, that was something, but no more Louds. No Lucas Labrador, Legendary Lightning. Loud the Third, Lincoln's cousin from Lapland whose obsession with Christmas trees and building gingerbread houses is a part of his move set. Just don't. Fetching Loud House always... I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna take a breather. Don't get mad, Dagoth. Not during a sermon. Breathe. Okay, I'm good. And that's all I have to say about that. Not much now that I think about it. Just no Louds. Okay, done. Before we move on to the fifth and final item on this wish list, I have a few honorable mentions, I guess you could call them. First of all, we need a fetching release date for Star Wars Outlaws. January 1st, 2024, ideally. Star Wars Outlaws was another absence from the Game Awards, which deeply disturbed and depressed me. I want to bring Nyx for long walks across the dusty plains of Toshara, while blasting stormtroopers sooner rather than later. Make it so, Santa. Use your magic or whatever. I wonder what Santa's specialization is regarding magic. Conjuration? Restoration? I could see him even being a destruction guy, honestly. Second of all, is that even a proper way to start a sentence? I don't know and I don't care. Secondly, I want Knack 3 to get announced. Just an announcement, that is all. Knack 3, simple. What did I say? Something outlandish? Finally, my, final honorable mention. I want to see Nintendo do a Nintendo Direct on Christmas morning. In this Direct, I expect a lot of games to be announced. Super Mario Sunshine 2. Mario goes to the Sunshine State and meets Florida Man, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild World, an Animal Crossing crossover, Metroid, The Other M, Pikmin 7, and finally, Wii Sports 2. And yes, you heard that right, they are going straight to 7. Oh, and finish it off with the announcement of the Switch U, or Switch 2, if you're superstitious Nintendo, which will release an hour after the Direct finishes. So, that's it for my honorable mentions. Not too much to ask. Now to the finale. My final wish on this list. It is simple. The Elder Scrolls 6, or The Elder Scrolls something. Just please, Santa. All I want for Christmas, besides the other stuff I mentioned, is for the Elder Scrolls to make an epic comeback. No blades or castles, no legends, or ESO expansion number 563. Just something that the fans truly want. A game set in the Elder Scrolls universe that brings back Dagoth Ur, perhaps, that is released on Christmas Day and leads to my domination of all known universes, and I'll settle for the Elder Scrolls 6. So yeah, that's it. Do not ruin my childlike innocence, Santa. Give me what I want, or I will descend upon the North Pole with an army of ash slaves and creepy-looking ash vampires and burn the whole place to the ground. Trust me, Klaus, your Elvis are no match for my Elvis. Just remember that when you're reading my letter, Santa, you obisi cookie, drinking noir.
Uncle Sweetshare is coming near to spread his candy and his cheer.
What was that? Uncle Sweetshare? You're here. You're an hour early, you dumb noir. Well, I better go get some skooma. This sermon has reached an end. Merry Christmas, fetchers, and a Happy New Year. But seriously, I think we could all use the Elder Scrolls 6 right now.
Hee hee hee! Ha ho!